هكا في دنيا حنانا نينا بيجيشي دي بركة.
Hello there. First of all, let me apologize for all of the nasal congestion-y sounds that you're going to hear throughout the whole of this video. I'm a little bit under the weather at the moment, so I thought I would take a break from the normal content that I make and discuss some of the professional work that I've done in my past. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through some of the professional work that I did for a gin brand called Mamiya, which I was lucky enough to work on right in the middle of the 2020 debacle. So sit back, relax, and let's look at some lovely images of an incredibly delicious, handcrafted Namibian gin. At the beginning of this project, I wanted to make sure that there was a consistent look and feel throughout all of the images that I created from start to finish, and that's both photographs and video content. To do this, I used a bunch of different techniques, but today I'm going to be talking about my use of color as well as my use of light. Both of these elements were heavily inspired by another South African photographer, Inge Prince. If you've never ever seen Inge Prince's work, you've probably looked at it in a magazine in South Africa. She's an incredibly talented South African photographer. She is a master of light. In most of her setups, she either mimics or uses natural light. Sometimes the boundaries and borders of what she uses are like completely blurred and I don't even know what it is. But I've seen some of the behind the scenes photographs of Inge's work and there are insanely complicated lighting setups, but the light that she gets as a result is just absolutely incredible. So heavily inspired by Inge, I decided to create a visual identity that kind of stole some of her best ideas and transformed it into a series of photographs and a body of work for this beautiful gin that was designed by my wife Sonia. Mamiya comes in two different flavor profiles. You've got Kalahari, which is kind of like the warm, dry, peppery gin, as well as Kavango, which is the lighter, fruitier gin that Mamiya makes. They're both unique and distinct in their own ways, and so I wanted to make sure that all of the images made with the different flavoring options were unique and distinct in the same ways. To do this, I used a harmonious color palette. For Kalahari, which was their warmer gin, I decided to use tones from the desert, which is yellow, dark orange, burnt auburn, and then on the other side for Kavango, that was inspired by the grapefruit and the colors behind the grapefruit. So that's like kind of like a pinky, orangey, magenta area, and so all of the images for that gin were shot against a backdrop similar to the colors of a grapefruit. The second thing that I chose to focus on was the lighting setups, and to light all of the gin inside of these photographs and videos, I chose natural sunlight to be my primary light source. So sunlight gives off a certain feeling of enjoying the gin outside, but also I really love the way sunlight casts on everything that it touches. Sunlight and studio lights are completely different as far as I'm concerned, and that's primarily because of the shadows cast by sunlight. If you put an object close to a studio light and then put that same object further away, the size of the shadow changes inside of your studio. Where if you were doing that with sunlight, the size of the shadow never ever changes and is always consistent because the light that you get from the sun travels to Earth in parallel lines. But that's just one of the characteristics of sunlight that's completely different to a studio setup, and one of the reasons why I love working with sunlight and natural light over studio lights. With that being said, however, I didn't use natural light for every single one of the photo shoots that I did of this gin. In some cases, they had to be a little bit of a studio setup just to get the results that we needed for more editorial purposes. When I was photographing the product shots of the bottle in particular, I used a very small minimal setup of about 3 household lights. You see, I was working on quite a tight budget every single month. Essentially, I made all of this content inside my own house, which is kind of strange when you think about it, but it added to the quick turnaround and it meant that I didn't have to travel to a studio. I could just set up the scene, My wife could style some of the elements inside of it, and I could wait for the lights to be perfect before I took the shots. This is it, the product that I've been talking about the whole video. And if I told you that I have a weird personal relationship with this box and the contents of it, it would seem strange, but it's 100% true. I was excited to work on this brand because my wife had worked with this company, because the people behind the gin were amazing to work with, and because the product was something that I was passionate about from the get-go. So if you are creating content for a business or a brand, consider your relationship with the product and with the work itself. Does it excite you? Is there something that you need to change about it? Can you try something new and see if that'll make the whole process a little bit more fun for you? I definitely was doing that on a weekly basis, and I loved working on a Mamiya, and I'm proud of the work that I made for this company. That's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it demystified how I made some of this content and inspired you to create some unique and interesting work for the brands that you work on. If you're in South Africa, go ahead and pick up a bottle of a Mamiya. The link is in the description. Some amazing people worked on this incredible product, and it truly is one of the best gins I've ever tasted in my life. So it doesn't just look good, it also tastes incredible. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Sayonara, my bitch ass goats.